All right, welcome into Buffalo Plus Live. Mike Catalan.
We're shoe shopping.
I was going to say, literally before we came out on camera, Dan and Mike were shoe shopping.
Yeah.
They didn't even include me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Getting all ready for the game. Look, we are excited. We're going to be talking to Bills. They get ready to go down to Miami.
Yep.
Dan Fates will be in Miami.
Yep.
A lot to break down, though, even though it's only been 1 week, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, don't panic. Yet. How's that?
Don't panic.
This isn't a must-win,
like
this isn't a must-win or a can't lose, but this game could make week 3 that.
Yes, absolutely.
But we're not there yet.
No,
we're just getting ready for
we're
week
not
2.
there yet, but we also want to remind everyone out there, be sure to comment, send in your questions. Mike and Dan will be checking YouTube as well as Facebook. We want to hear from you as well as we get ready for a big Bills Sunday coming up. The Bills against the Dolphins in Miami. We're going to take a very, very short little break, and we will be right back.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome into Buffalo Plus Live, and check this out. Practice this week, Sean McDermott keeping it loose, catching punts after practice, even spiking the football. The Bills getting ready to see Miami, but Buffalo keeping it loose heading in. Sean McDermott even doing a couple push-ups as he gets there. Let's welcome everyone in. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. The Bills getting ready. Again, they're heading down to Miami, a divisional game against the Dolphins coming up. But it seems like Sean McDermott is wanting to keep things a little lighter.
Yeah, I think the one most impressive thing about McDermott is he does attempt to keep the same message all the time. I don't think he's going to act like there's panic coming into this week, you know, because, look, they didn't play well in the first game.
Happens.
It's 1 out of 17.
Yeah, that's how we all get ready for the show, too. We catch punts, and then we do push-ups.
And spike the ball.
And spike it. And also, I think that's a good point, Mike, is that we've heard all this week, we've heard all of the cliches of it's just one game, there's a lot of season left. But the other tone we've always heard is that Sean McDermott is the one that stays even keel. He's never too high, he's never too low. They say that during the games and in between the weeks, that, like, he is the one, the steady rock, and I think that's huge as to what you need as a head coach.
Yeah, and it's worked for him, right? This team has won. But now, you know, they didn't have this issue, Jenna, until midway point of the year, a year ago.
Correct.
When they had that stretch of Kansas City and Tennessee. So it happened week 1. All right, get ready, get out to Miami and see what you can do week 2.
I think just with the expectations and everyone so excited to get back into the building, you know, so many Bills fans were so looking forward to that week 1, and then to have the team come out the way they did, you know, it was just something where the expectations so high, and then to see the product, Mike, it was just disappointing.
You know what it's like as a parent? You're not mad at the kid, you're just disappointed. And
Which is worse. Which is way worse.
Way worse. But I do believe that was a thing. I mean, the idea that they're feeling that way. And, you know, Josh Allen is a guy who's trying to bounce back after what was not a great performance by him or by the offense. And, you know, Josh, he tries to keep things even keel, getting himself ready to try to bounce back in week 2.
But this is also, this is also what we talked about, is that sense of the difference that this team has to handle with real expectations and moving forward.
Yeah.
Some missed opportunities here or there, missed assignments, missed throws, stuff to clean up, a lot of stuff that, you know, we can take and we can learn from. I think you learn more in losses than you do in wins, and to have it early on especially, just kind of reset our focus.
Yeah, I mean, that's Josh.
Yeah, that is Josh.
And I give him credit, again, because he follows the McDermott model. He's very similar after wins or losses.
He is.
But he was, what word did you use this week? He was a little somber.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked so much about this team and how loose they are and how much fun they like to have and all of those things. But when we got to talk to Josh leading into this game, he just seemed a little bit quieter than we're used to. And look, he says very much the same things. He talks about how it's on him. He needs to be better. He needs to improve. But at the same time, Dan, it was a different tone that we saw.
But haven't we talked about all this leading up into this week 1, we talked about how they love being the underdogs. They love
Yes.
that, and that they block out all the noise. And this was the first time we said they were a touchdown favorites against a playoff team last year. And that these are different. It's such a different expectation, and how do you handle that expectation? And even last year, we talked about how they had to change from the team that was the hunters to now being the hunted. And that's such a big burden, I feel like, that is something new that they're having to deal with.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of fans this week who would say, oh, you know, I think that their heads were too big and they were feeling too much. I don't know if it was overconfidence. I think it's just a difference in a mindset. And I don't think they went out there saying,
Right,
Steelers,
no, I agree.
we got them. I just think it hits you. And I tweeted it out this week. I talked to a guy who worked in the NFL for a long time, and he's worked for the Patriots.
Oh.
And he said, you know, the hardest thing in this league to do is win when everybody expects you to win.
Correct.
And New England did it for 20 years. I mean, they really did. As
Absolutely.
annoying as it was, they did it for 20 years. Now, it doesn't mean they won every game,
Right.
but it is a mindset to say, you know, we're the favorites, everybody expects us to win, and we didn't get it done.
No, it's very true, and that's something the Bills are going to have to deal with as they head into the season and continue on with this season. But we also got to talk to Stephon Diggs. I asked him on practice earlier in the week just what was his biggest takeaway after Sunday's loss against the Steelers.
Just got to execute at a higher level. You know, we did some things well, we didn't do some things well. When you watch the tape, it's never as bad as it seems, it's never as good as it seems. So for me, what we took away from it was they took a lot of the wrinkles from what other teams did to us. You know, they had a whole offseason to kind of game plan to kind of figure out what they want to do. You kind of took that as in other teams are going to do that, you know. So going in with the right mindset of what's the plan, how are we going to do X, Y, Z, and everybody being on the same page.
2 points from that.
Yeah.
One was it's never as good as it seems and it's never as bad as it seems, referring to the tape, was probably said a minimum 68 times. Like, that was the phrase that you would think Sean McDermott must have said, and then everyone just continued to repeat throughout the week. But Steph Diggs did bring up a good point of this was some of those wrinkles that we saw in that Chiefs
Hold
game.
on. I'm going to go to Dan here.
Dan is not
about the blueprint.
Yeah, the blueprint that everybody's saying, oh, this is how you stop Josh Allen. Look at what you do. You rush 4 and get pressure on him. Yeah, that allows you to have 7 guys in coverage to cover 4 of your wide receivers.
Yeah, just do it every
That's
week.
the blueprint against Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. That's what works. It is a lot easier said than done, Jenna.
No, I completely agree. I think the takeaway was that you saw how uncomfortable Josh was in that Kansas City game. You saw how much he was freaking
Isn't every
out.
quarterback?
Well, no,
Under pressure, quarterbacks are uncomfortable. That's what the Bills are trying to create when they move forward, when they face Mahomes.
You can talk about Patrick Mahomes, though, and how effective he is with the blitz.
Okay, are you two going to
I
fight?
was just saying, ding, ding, ding. No,
right,
look, my
but
takeaway was just the fact that
I get
it's
you.
something as the Bills move into this, and again, we talked about it, they have those expectations. Teams are going to use what happened last year. I know it's a new season, a new team, but a lot of those things can stand true in this year as well.
And you talked to Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, and this was one thing, too. We talked to him on Thursday. The fact of the matter is that the Bills, as we mentioned, all offseason were anointed as this Super Bowl darling and this team that is anointed as Super Bowl contenders. And then they were humbled. But he says that's what life is like in the roller coaster of the NFL.
You know, one thing about the NFL is like when you lose, like you feel like you're never gonna win again, and when you win, you feel like you're never gonna lose again. And so, you know, you just gotta ride the roller coaster of it, because you know when you down, everybody's saying, "Oh, the Bills don't have it." And then when you come back up, you know, we the greatest thing since milk was invented. So that's just how the nature of the business going. I think that's just life in general.
Yeah. Okay, so I grew up, my family had a dairy.
Yes, that's true.
I
That's
did not know milk was invented. I guess it was sort of.
We heard a lot of cliches this week. Jenna said you heard a lot of cliches about it's never as bad as you think, or one game at a time.
Yeah.
Didn't know milk was invented. That was the new soundbite of the week. That was the best one.
I did enjoy that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guy, though, that has so much wisdom, obviously, Mike.
You know, he's really good. And if you check out the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel, you can hear a lot of his wisdom from his full news conference.
And that's what I took away from this week is to have some veterans like Stephon Diggs and like Emmanuel Sanders, who's been around for over a decade in the NFL, to say, listen, relax. Micah Hyde was saying the same thing. Like, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah. By the way, I'll have a little take on.
Oh, you'll have some wisdom
things.
coming up?
A little mic drop coming
I was
up.
going to say, a little mic drop coming up. Also coming up after the break, we are going to be getting to know Gregory Rousseau a little bit better as Rousseau heading back to his roots in Miami. We'll have that story coming up. All right, we'll get to some comments as well.
All right.
I feel like there's some good ones, especially after the invented milk.
Thank you to Kyle, who says, great channel. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Kyle. We
Love
appreciate that.
watching us all year.
Steve English said he has the same take as Mike. He's not mad.
Just
He's just
disappointed.
disappointed.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, the guy's talking about a little bit about them. Wait a minute. James, expect a rough game Sunday. 0-4 to start the season.
0-4.
James,
Sir.
They've got
Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is Tyrod, so Washington and Houston, but you never know.
Young Italy said, "Brah," said milk. Yeah, it was the best. That was when
Yes.
great accent, great insight from Manuel Sanders when he gets stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always love hearing that. Like, and he's a talker too.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
talker.
Yeah, can you imagine these people would just talk?
Give
like
a 2-minute answer to a 5-second question.
It's like he's in the sports department back in 13 Wham.
Yeah.
No, but we have some great stuff coming up. The Gregory Rousseau story. We also have Mike's hot takes. I shouldn't call it a hot take. Mike's mic drop. As well as our predictions. We have all that coming up. Be sure to comment as well. We always love to hear that. Subscribe to our YouTube page too. We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus Live. There he is, Gregory Rousseau, the Bills' first draft pick from this past spring, and he is heading back home, going back to Miami. And he's a guy that, Dan, you got to talk to a little bit.
Yeah, he is no stranger to playing at the Hard Rock Stadium down there in Miami. It's where he played his college ball. His 1 year that he played at Miami. He said he's going to have about 12 to 13 family members there at the game. Not too many, but he's a guy that has already stood out because, well, it's simple.
You're looking for players at practice that are standing out or making plays, but there is one Bills player who is standing out simply for just standing. As Micah Hyde explains his first impression when he met Bills' first-round pick, Greg Rousseau.
Oh my gosh, dude's tall. First time I saw him, I was like, there's no way this dude is that tall.
But he is 6'7", and if you're wondering about all the tall jokes,
like how's the weather up there and stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty used to all those?
Used to. Definitely. I've heard them all 1,000 times.
Rousseau says they're corny, but good, adding he's always been the tallest kid in his class. But when it comes to football, there's more to his game than just his height.
Like the way I can use my hands, my get off, those are all things that I think are really important when it comes to my game, at least as a defensive end. So definitely there's more to it than being tall.
Last year, the Bills had one of the smallest defensive lines in the league. Now, that won't be the case this year, thanks in large part to Rousseau, who Hyde says will give the Bills that mental edge.
No guys on other teams see that and they're like, oh my gosh. There's a little fear factor once you step on the field when you see a guy that is just out there looking like that.
So what does Rousseau have to say about being the fear factor in Buffalo?
I mean, it's real for sure, but you have to be able to back it up at the end of the day,
Yeah, so that interview I shot with him during training camp, that's why Micah Hyde was wearing the mask. And guys, it's stunning to see just how tall he is, especially when he stands next to Isaiah McKenzie or something like that. Because a lot of times he's amongst other taller guys, but when you really get to see him a normal height person, he's 6'9".
He's a giant.
Yeah.
He started last week, played a ton. I thought he flashed at times. You could see him out there. Again, we need to see production out of this defensive line.
Absolutely.
Now, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the best guy. He does get rid of the ball quickly.
That he does.
He may not be fast moving, but he's fast getting rid of the ball. And that really worked in stretches for Pittsburgh. Like, he got the ball out of his hands, so there wasn't really a lot of chance. They got to him a couple of times in the game.
Yeah.
But I think that's what this team is missing. That team is missing a real impactful guy on the defensive line.
Absolutely.
Could Ed Oliver get there on the inside? It's a little different. But this is the guy they're really hoping can become that guy.
And they invested so much when you look at it. Look, we know that the Bills struggled with that last season. It's a pressure that they haven't been able to get. Like you said, Gregory Rousseau had some flashes. Ed Oliver had a pretty nice game, obviously, on the inside.
Mario Addison had the strip sack. Jordan Poyer had a sack.
Yeah.
I thought the Bills' defensive line played okay.
Yeah.
And I think that you go into the fourth quarter of last week's game and you say, they only gave up 6 points.
Yes.
Then it was the fourth down play that swung the momentum of the game. And then obviously you had the blocked punt. I didn't think the Bills defense played as bad as what the final score ended up being.
Right. Yeah.
But again, I'm with you. There still needs to be more.
Yeah.
We saw again Tremaine Edmonds get his hands on a couple of more passes. Got to make a play.
Yeah.
They didn't turn the ball over.
They didn't. They
Yeah.
didn't get the ball. And Leslie Frazier said that. He
Yeah.
said, I asked Jordan Poyer in the meeting, and Jordan said, we didn't take the ball away, and that was a problem.
And that was the first thing they said after the game, post-game, talking about that's something they need to do. They need to create those turnovers because that was the difference.
And look, I know I always go back to the old time with the Bills, but if you look when they were great, they had all these guys in the Hall of Fame. Thurman Thomas, James Lofton, Jim Kelly, all of them, right? But they had Bruce Smith.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you need Bruce Smith. It'd be great to have a prime Bruce Smith.
They would take him.
Because Bruce was so impactful as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
They need somebody to at least become that.
Well,
Yeah.
Rousseau has shown more power than I think we all anticipated. And Jerry Hughes talked about him during training camp, that he's kind of got the body like Mario Williams.
Yes.
That was shocking to hear. And he goes, no, I'm not making the comparison. He goes, but the frame, the freakish body type.
Yeah.
And when you hear that from Jerry, it was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, we might have something here.
Somebody there.
Small flashes.
Small flashes. We heard coming out of the draft he would be a project, but I think a lot of people have been impressed by
farther along than I thought.
Yeah,
absolutely
I agree.
And you know they're going to be getting after Tua Tagovailoa. What do you make, Mike, of it? This is only the second time the Bills will be seeing him.
Yeah.
But Tua, the Dolphins coming off a win last week, but what do you make of him?
I think he's a guy that you can win games with. I don't think he's going to win the game for you.
Okay.
I think his strength is moving the ball. You know, I don't know what they're going to get out of Jones in New England. I mean, obviously he's that type of player, but I think there's similarities between the two. I think Jones may be able to make more big plays. I watched Tua. I'm not impressed with the way he throws the ball. I'm really not.
Okay.
I think he can throw it. I think he can be effective, but I don't think he's going to take a game over on offense. That's just the way I see him play.
Real quick before we go to break, this Dolphins team reminds me of the 2019 Bills.
Yeah, I could see that.
Average quarterback, progressing, weapons not quite there yet on offense.
Yeah, definitely something to watch. All right, when we come back after the break, coming up, the mic drop time as Mike Catalana gives his thoughts. Coming up, and you, believe me, don't want to miss this one. We'll have it after the break.
All right, some other comments. I got Meach here who says, Levi Wallace got to do better. Shake my head. I didn't think Levi was that bad.
I didn't think he was that bad.
Here's what I would say is, Levi gave up the penalty.
Correct.
The touchdown. And those
really good
were
touchdown.
Big.
That was a really
good touchdown.
nice touchdown.
But guess what? Trey White had a holding call, take back an interception was his, and he also got beat by a great play by Claypool.
Yeah, it was really nice, too.
And if you watch the video of the tight end, Freiermuth, he threw him out of bounds by like 10 yards, too. So it happened to everybody. They
the
got
Bills
pushed around.
outgained. Had over 100 yards more. And I know Sean McDermott, it's all about points and not yards. I just don't think that the Bills defense played as poorly as we thought. And again, as we talked this entire week leading up to this, sometimes I get annoyed when teams give so much credit to the opposing team. Like, oh, I'll give them credit. They're NFL players, too.
Of course they're going to say that, though.
The Steelers' defense may be a top 3 defense when we all look at this at the end of the year.
They could very well be.
They could very well be. Melvin Ingram is a beast. They picked him up late in free agency. Like, this is a very good defense that we may be looking back at the end of the season going, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Josh's worst game came against one of the top defenses in the league.
It is. Daryl says Tua can't throw it long. I'm with you on that. I don't think that's going to be what hurts the Bills in this kind of game. He's got to be in timing. He's got to get the ball out of his hands. And remember, he played in that last game against the Bills,
Which
and they
we know how the Bills did.
Him.
Did in that one. But Sean McDermott harped on how it is a new season, of course. But I will say,
it's a different situation for Tua.
I completely agree as well. The Bills, both teams were in it. Well, the Bills were. I mean, that was the.
Tua's on the clock.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus Live. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs getting into it as the Bills getting ready for week 2 against the Dolphins. It's a big game. It's always a big game, of course, in the NFL. But, Mike, I want to hear your take because the mic drop is about just the NFL in general.
Yeah, it's about the NFL and what the Bills are facing this year. So when the game ended, we got a chance to talk to the Bills when they lost to the Steelers. And Micah Hyde was a guy we interviewed. He's always great with his time, thoughtful, leader, all those things. But I asked him about basically the difference, playing against a team that is pointing for it. I mean, the Bills had beaten the Steelers back-to-back years, and then Pittsburgh got a little revenge. Here's what he had to say.
This is the National Football League. We're gonna get everybody's best regardless. It doesn't matter if you went to the AFC Championship game or not. You're gonna get everybody's best. So hearing that, especially coming from the media, is not, that doesn't make sense to us because, we're going in the game to win the football game.
So I guess I was the media in that
Yes,
case. Look,
yes.
I don't have any problem with that. First of all, I've said to you guys, if they're a little cranky after the game,
Understand.
so be
Yeah,
it. They just
yeah.
played a football game. I walked down from the press box. So I'm really...
We know you did.
Yeah. But here's what I would say about this, and this is my point for today, is it's not the same. The Bills were in the AFC Championship game. You are a team that everybody is going to point towards. Schedule comes out. You go, we got Buffalo. We've got Buffalo. It's been years since the Bills have been that team. They've been the team pointing at other teams and saying, oh, this is our chance to knock off New England. This is our chance to beat Kansas City. When you weren't that team, I think not only are they going to get everybody's best when it's another playoff caliber team like they're going to play when they play Tennessee and when they play Kansas City, the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, it's also for the teams that aren't going to be there. You can make your year by knocking off a team like Buffalo. Or when you get national television, that's what happens too. So Mike is great. Mike is a leader. I don't know what he's saying inside that locker room, but they're not only going to get their best every week, they're going to get more every week because of who they've become.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
It's so true. And I think that's where you have to have the Bills shift that focus.
Yep.
Because we
Hunter
talked
to
about
hunted.
Exactly. And
Yep.
there is such a huge distinction, Dan, between those two.
And I know people were saying, well, the Bills aren't going to sneak up on anybody. I don't think they snuck up on anybody last year, but there is that more of an understanding, like Mike said, where they are circled on calendars, where they beat the Steelers 2 times in a row, and they're a proud franchise that said, all offseason, we're not going to lose another game to the Bills. That's what's different.
What did the Bills do all offseason? Kansas City, Kansas City,
Yep.
Kansas City.
Yep.
We were week 2 of training camp, and somebody asked Leslie Frazier about having to face Kansas City and Tennessee back-to-back. He's like, we got the Steelers in 2 weeks, so why don't we just focus on that?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
No,
But it
it's
is.
so true.
Everybody's got the one they want to try to knock off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And the
now
Bills
it's,
are one of those
I was gonna
teams.
say, now it is the Bills, and that's something that the team in general, has to get used to. And hey, we want to do a little thank you to Greg Connors and Ferris. He is a huge sponsor of our show. We thank him so much. We always like to get his insight on the game as well as the Bills preparing for the Sunday game against the Dolphins. Here's his predictions for today.
So as I look at this game, it's like the offensive line has to fortify itself to provide enough protection so Josh doesn't have to do what he did this past week. If they can do that and Josh can take what that defense will give him, we're in good stead. Otherwise, I might be bald by the end of the game.
Right, Greg's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I know that route. But it's stressful. He said it.
Yeah.
But it's funny, as we heard the players say, it's stressful on them. Look, everybody says that, but the players do feel it. These guys care. They're playing, it's
Absolutely.
a job. They care. They want to win. You guys know that. But they feel it, and now they're going to try to get that other feeling this week.
Yeah, and let's take a quick look at the injury report as well. Just a
the
couple
big one that
notes.
stands out, Gabriel Davis limited in practice on Thursday. I'd give it a 50-50 shot to play. Ankle didn't look good. On the positive side, Starla Tulele limited. Hopefully he's ready to go on Sunday.
A lot of fans expecting that. Coming up after the break, we're going to have our predictions for the game. We'll be right back on Buffalo Plus Live.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Not Let's Talk
Jay
Football Live.
Sartori with my favorite comment so far of the day. We were talking about circling,
Bills,
teams,
yeah.
opponents for the Bills. I will not rest until I have a KC hat on my wall. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. As Bills Mafia, I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Here we go. Mary says Josh owns the fish. Squish the fish.
That is Mary
very
has
right.
a great point. We're going to talk about that coming up as well.
I mean, Allen has Has he already been named AFC Player of the Week?
It'll be either this time or when they play them the next time.
Yeah.
Because he
he's
gets one
done
a
it.
year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yep.
Every year
He's
done that.
always been able.
McDermott's only
Look,
lost
it
to
couldn't
them
come. Yes,
one time.
One time.
out of
Correct.
8 games. So that makes a big difference.
And it was the
So-
Charles Clay drop.
Yes.
Drop, underthrow by Josh in
By the
Miami.
way,
Yeah.
I will add
I was
this.
at that game.
Who was the one guy that had a really good game for the Bills on offense?
That
On
game?
that game?
This past game. Dawson Knox.
Oh.
Yeah.
like-
I thought I was.
Sanders had a good,
No, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
it's like the guy we've been worried about all the time. Look, he didn't do a ton, but
say,
he
yeah.
did have a couple nice
He had
first
some nice.
downs.
He
did
had
what he
some
was
nice
supposed to do.
catches.
He didn't
Yeah.
drop it.
He did
Yeah.
his job. The Sean McDermott
Yeah, he did
111.
his 111.
job.
He did his
Yeah.
111.
Yeah.
We're trying to do our 111.
1/3, isn't it? Do we have
Well,
8
we have
other
to,
people
we have to
helping
make
us?
up for
I
you.
wish.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Here
we don't
go.
like each other, clearly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back for our final predictions and preview for the game. Oh, just kidding. We have 20 more seconds.
I never stop talking early.
That's a first.
Mike just never stops talking in general.
That's it. I'm done now.
Okay.
Oh, now there's 10 more.
Now there's no. I think we'll be
She
right
just
back.
said 10.
We'll be right back. All right, Josh Allen, he is 5-1 all-time against Miami. The Bills getting ready for the Dolphins coming up. Look, we know it's going to be a big game. They need that bounce-back effort that we talked about.
But he's not just 5-1 against Miami. He hammers Miami.
Yeah, kills him.
It's
Even
been fun.
back in the beginning when he was the end of his rookie year.
Yep, 2018.
He had a great game against them. He's destroyed them in Miami. He's destroyed them in Buffalo. Like, if you're the Dolphins, you got to say to yourself, I mean, look at the way the Bills, obviously, I'm not saying it's Tom Brady, but it's not just beating him. Like, they have not been able to control him.
Well, that's one of the things that we asked him this week about, hey, do you just have more confidence against one team? And they were all, no, the past doesn't mean anything else. Of that.
Classic.
You know that, and I've been saying all week, there's not a better team for the Bills to get back on track against than the Dolphins.
Because they're good. They're a division rival.
Division,
and the Bills play well against them and have that confidence. And you even mentioned it. Pittsburgh's not a good matchup for the Bills.
No.
Miami is a good matchup.
Yeah.
They play more man-to-man defense, and the Bills should have the guys that can get themselves free.
Well, you lead us right into our picks. Dan, I want to start with you. We are all 0-1 after week 1.
Yeah, it happens. But hey, last week I looked at it and I thought the Bills, I didn't know if their offense would be totally ready to go up against the Steelers defense. And looking back at it, even last year during Josh's best season, one of his worst games was against the Steelers. As we've just all mentioned, some of his best games are against the Dolphins. I think he gets back on track this week. I think this was a humbling wake-up call. The Bills get back into that 30-point column. 31-21, I think they take care of the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are expecting to see a performance like that. I also have the Bills winning this one. I think the score is going to be a little closer. I'm a little worried about the weather, and I know that might sound silly to some people, but we know it's been like fall temperatures here in Western New York. Down there, it's going to be 90 with 70% humidity. Some of these guys are used to playing in Florida, but let's be real, they've been in Western New York. That's going to be an adjustment in terms of fitness, staying hydrated, all of those things. I think Josh Allen and the Bills offense get back on track. But at the same point, I think that will be a factor in this game.
Yeah, Dan will like this because it's like playing blackjack. You split aces and you get 2 bad cards and you're a little hesitant the next time. There's no reason to be. You're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I picked the Bills big last week. I was wrong. I got it wrong. I'll move on. And guess what? It's not going to impact what I picked this week. They're a better team than the Dolphins. They will show it in this game. I think close start in this game. Miami's going to be all fired up for that home opener. Rightfully so. They're coming off a win. I think it may be a playoff team, but they're not going to be in this one. I've got the Bills winning it 31-20.
All right. There's a lot to talk about, though, but we also have your best bets, Dan.
Yeah, 0-1. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's mentally maybe retired.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce back this week with maybe the most impressive team that I saw last week, the Rams. They are going to Indianapolis. The Colts aren't good. Neither is Carson Wentz. I'm over it. He is done. I really like the Rams here. Sean McVay, 8-1 against the spread all time in weeks 1 and 2 as a head coach. Give me the Rams.
All right. Hammer in the Rams.
Yeah.
And we want to take a quick look at our picks so we can remind you all. 0-1. Look at that.
I already have as many wrong this year as I had all of last year.
Oh my god.
Somehow I was going to get that in.
Of course.
By the way, that I won last year.
I was going to say, we still need to check the tape on that. I don't believe you. I still don't believe you.
We all look very happy to be 0-1.
Dan, I don't know about Dan. Dan, not
That's an
so
old picture,
much.
right?
I was going to say, that one might be from a couple of years ago. And hey, we do want to remind you to be sure to subscribe to the Buffalo Plus channel on YouTube. We have plenty of content. We're always doing post-game, pre-game stuff as well. So thank you so much for joining us on Buffalo Plus Live. We have the fans there hoping for a good game Sunday. Kickoff at 1 on Fox. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for joining us on Buffalo Plus Live.